Um, would people rather see me look at system modules first or go straight into kernel loader? I am happy to do it in either order, and I know that that's a meaningless question because people probably don't have preferences, but I'd still like to offer and ask if anyone cares what order I do them in. Okay, that looks like a bunch of votes for system modules. For people who are asking me to turn up my mic, yeah, I'm sorry. It's better than it was. You should have seen previous streams. System modules are pretty quick. Kernel loader will probably take a while. I will do the system modules first. I only look at a couple of system modules, and so I'm sorry if I don't do the ones that you care about. I actually only really look at a loader and process manager. I diff boot, but I'm probably not going to do that on stream tonight just because of time constraints. Also, actually, yeah, if you want to make a straw poll, that would be great. And I can talk about the new system module right now, which I'm not going to diff on stream because it looks completely uninteresting. So there's this new system module, NGCT, and there's also this new system archive, 830. Hedgeberg, make the options in the straw poll kernel loader and loader plus process manager. System modules versus kernel loader. It's all those are the two choices, really. I'm just going to rant about this while you do that. So this new archive only has one file, which is Mars dirty word db. And this new system module, NGCT. So here's the really dumb story. Do I actually have strings on the system? No, I don't. That's a shame. So I don't have strings installed in the VN, but I usually just run strings. Let me run strings on the host system and copy it over. Strings is a program that you run on a file and it outputs all of these strings that are in the file. But basically, HexKYZ looked at this a little bit right after it dropped, and it has references to libmars, basically. The strategy is to grep for ngc, and there's some symbol that's like ngc.t libmars file resource. And so if you actually go looking for that Mars GitHub, yeah, it's Tencent. So Nintendo has been pairing up with China, or with Tencent to do stuff in China as of this past year. And so the new system module, NGCT, we think, and I'm not going to look at it especially in depth right now because it looks completely uninteresting and looks like it's just libmars, NGC is what they call the library no good content for like profanity filtering. And so this new system module, we think, is no good content for Tencent, which is just basically Chinese profanity filtering. I mean, Mars dirty words DB plus libmars references plus a new system module that does profanity checking. It's just stuff for China, so we don't really care about it. But yes, there is now WeChat profanity filtering in the Switch, which is both really funny and horrific. Did you make that poll, Hedgeberg? If not, I will just start on system modules. I think it's probably all the same, and system modules will be faster. Oh, you did make that poll. Great. Okay, it looks like it's 14-4 for doing system modules first. So let's just dive into those. Cool. So I only do a couple of system modules, at least when I'm doing this kind of shallow thing. And I actually only check a couple of functions in those because they never really change anything else, and there are only a few that actually matter for atmosphere. So the first one that I like to check is process manager. And we have that script that loads everything in nicely. So this is just the standard going through stuff to find the actual main function for Process Manager. Someone asks, what is IDA? IDA is Interactive Disassembler. It is a reverse engineering tool. I think this is main. Yeah, this is main. Cool. So this will be abort. So right now I am doing some stuff pretty quickly, but just know that the important thing that I'm doing is I am just making stuff so that I can find the main function for Process Manager. Yeah. So, this is Process Manager's main. It is not especially interesting. You can look at it in Atmosphere if you want to see the way that I implement it, because it's effectively all the same thing. So this, I think, actually initializes secure platform services. This gets a configuration item from secure platform. I think this is like is development or something. It's never changed. And this registers Process Manager services and then starts up the rest of things. This will actually be creating, I think, a new thread for Process Manager. Is that it? Yeah, it should be. This will be like initializing the file system library. Okay, so here it is creating the process tracking thread. Process Manager is actually basically just a while loop, and this function is the while loop. But that is not especially what I'm interested in today. Someone asks, how did he download the new Switch firmware on a computer? I have a script for doing that. I ran the script in the earliest part of the stream, and you can always go back and look at how I did it. I showed the script for a little bit. It basically just talks to the content distribution network as though it were a switch. Yeah, this is all stuff that I don't really care about. This initializes something or other. This is basically just static initialization. Where is, yes, this is the function that I actually care about. So this does Process Manager initialization for resources. I could do this like the actual hard way where I know how it works, but I'm going to do something much lazier than that, and I'm going to... Actually, I don't need to use browser. I have it on file system. Let me open up a new window. Here's the better way to diff a system module. Check what Atmosphere does and compare it to that. Process Manager source. Well, EM resource manager. Okay. So, here's what Atmosphere does. Here's what the actual Process Manager does. This looks like it is svc get info. Yep. So, we start out by getting the current resource limit handle. That is exactly what they are doing. They then set this resource handle here, and they call svc create resource limit twice. There's nothing changed there. I'm not expecting any changes in Process Manager, so I'm going to go pretty quickly with it. And then the stuff that I actually care about is all in this like 7.0.0 plus stuff. It'll do like svc get resource limit value on this handle, which should be what this is. Yep. And then it'll do this calculation comparing 260 to 60. Yep. It'll get the system resource limits. Yep, it is still reserving 5 megabytes for the system, memory-wise. These limits, 260, 2BC, 80, 370. Okay, so let's see what we are limiting. That's really the only thing that I care about in Process Manager. They are exceedingly unlikely to have changed anything else, so it's just not really worth checking immediately. 508, what is 508 in hex? Okay, it looks like they actually, oh wait, I have stuff with these added here. Okay, none of these look like they're increased except for this one. This one looks from memory like it's a little larger. It's 794 in Atmosphere source code, which is 31A. Okay, so it looks like they actually did change it to allow more sessions. So that makes sense. They added new services, so I'm not surprised that they added the ability to have more sessions concurrent in the kernel. And so what these numbers are is basically the kernel has a bunch of what are called slab heaps. They have a fixed amount of memory for different types of objects that they can allocate. And so the system can only have this many total sessions for inter-process communications in total. And they bumped this limit up in this update. So that's actually interesting. I don't think the rest of these are different, but this is up from like 3.1a, I think. What is that minus 794? Let's see. I use Google as a calculator, so I also apologize to anyone that offends. 370 minus 794 in decimal. Yeah, okay. They added 100 extra sessions this update. So I'll need to modify Process Manager to do that. That's a good question. 894, it looks like they allow 5 sessions from user apps and 1 from applets, although that might be reversed. I forget the order that these are in. But they have 900 total, and they're saying that system modules can make 894 of the 900, and the other 2 pools get 5 and 1. But, okay. So that's the only thing that I actually care about checking in Process Manager, so that always goes really quickly. Loader is a little more involved. Don't save the database. If I was going to save it, I would have put more effort into it. Okay, and loader, we are actually not even going to bother with finding main or doing abort. There's only one function in loader that actually matters, and it is create process. Everything else, Atmosphere re-implements well enough that I know that I don't need to care about what Nintendo does. So I'm just going to really quickly check create process. Okay, so I have this script that HTHH wrote forever ago that will basically generate output telling me where the functions are that do IPC. And I know loader pretty well, so this should not be hard to do. It says loader, and these are all of the interfaces. Great. So, loader has a couple of things. Loader process manager, loader for shell, and loader for debug. The only function that we care about is loader for process manager's first function, which is called create process. And the script has automatically located it for us and tells us that it is at 20EO. So let's go right there. Great. So this is loader shell create process. And this has this internal function, which is always the same. And this is create process main. This talks to NCM to get something or other. I think it's the content path. This will get other information. This is implemented in Atmosphere, basically verbatim. Feel free to look at Atmosphere source code if you were curious. This function is actually the one that we care about. It is create process. But it looks like it is currently not parsing as a function, which tells me that I need to label abort, basically. Because things won't identify as functions because abort won't identify as a function. So let me scroll to the bottom of where it's doing this. It's a big function, so this might take a little bit. It's a very big function. Okay. Yeah. So it'll have like this BL to this load. Okay. This is going to be an abort function, so I'm going to mark it no return, which will help IDA know that the thing that I was just looking at is a function. I would love to know if there's a way to do that manually, because if there is, I am not aware of it. Does that work now? Yes, it does. Great. Okay. All of this is implemented in Atmosphere, by the way, so you can absolutely look there if you're curious about how this works. Also, yes, I have a whole bunch of memory around how to navigate using Explorer. Typing CMD to get a command prompt in the current window is extremely valuable. Okay. So this is clearing the global NPDM cache. This is getting a content path. This is actually path normalization. Let me just mark these as characters. This is normalizing a content path. Once upon a time, when I was trying to understand how loader worked, I would actually like assign variables here, but I know loader really, really well. Okay, so this is the anti-downgrade code, and it is doing more things now. Okay, cool. So in 8.1.0, maybe it might have been 8.0.1, Nintendo added code to loader that does anti-downgrade checking on a per system module basis. Basically, they are using this field that was always 0 before, and they changed it to store 0 or 1. They changed it to store 1 instead of 0, and if a title ID matches some pattern and doesn't have the right value there, it will refuse to launch it. So that prevents users from manually downgrading specific system modules to try to use older exploits on firmwares that have newer keys. It's a good feature on their part. But it looks like it's doing the really ugly switch stuff. Create process always does this. Whatever version of ceiling they're using produces these switch statements that I have to specify manually. It is always really sad. But in 8.1.0, this didn't have this logic for what looks like web applet is 100A. So we'll see what that does in a second. Okay. So I want to go to edit, other, specify switch idiom, because this is a switch. The jump table is going to be x10. X10. That's actually x11. I'm going to need to get an address for this. Okay. Got it. Edit, other, specify switch idiom. Jump table is there. It looks like there are 3C elements. We're doing a LDRB, so that's a 1 byte size. We're left shifting whatever we get by it by 2, and the base value that we're adding it to is 7100003C60. And the input register is X12. And the default jump address is 3C70. Okay, hopefully I didn't fuck this up. And it looks like I did not. Awesome. But then I have to do the other ones. They look like there are multiple switches, which is really annoying because I hate doing this, but yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Edit other, specify switch idiom. This table is at 7100372A2. It looks like there are 8 elements. Size of the table element is 1 again. Shift by 2. 71C X11 here. Default jump address is 385C. Okay, did that one too, and let's take care of this one while we're at it. Edit, other, specify switch idiom. X71. Oh. I'm gonna need to scroll up a little so I can see the default address that I'm working with. 71372AA. Looks like there are 4 table elements. Size of the table element is 1. Again, shifted by 2. I wonder why ceiling is outputting stuff like this. It didn't used to do it like this, and it's so annoying. 02C. X10 is the input register, and default is 714E4. Okay. So let's see. Yep, that looks how I would expect. Okay. Looks like 1, 2, 3. This is probably not interesting. Okay, this is some kind of an index, it looks like, based on what the offset is to this title ID. This is the first system module title ID, which is USB. So what is it doing here? This is some index into this table. And it is checking, I'm going to assume this is, okay, yeah, this is the npm version field. It's checking whether or not it is bigger than this value. Okay, yeah, this is an index into this d-word array. So what does this array look like? Okay, well that is actually very easy to work with. So let's undefine this. This is a d-word array. It looks like this is 1 d-word for, what's the title ID? A quad word for the title ID is actually a word for the version, and then a padding word, because the whatever structure this is just going to be aligned to 8 bytes. Noxus Ninja asks, which I've asked before, have you tried doing this with Ghidra? I have never used Ghidra. I'm meaning to eventually, but I have never used Ghidra, which I will sometimes call Ghidra to upset Hedgeberg, but I have not used it. Insert struct, anti-downgrade info. It looks like this is keyword title ID, d-word version, and d-word padding. And what is the maximum element index rolling at? 53, so I'm just going to assume there are 54 elements, and hopefully that's not wrong. Actually, what is 216 divided by 4? 54. Okay, yep, should have just got off my gut. Anti-downgrade info, 54. Okay, so it looks like they have this big list of things that are not allowed to be downgraded. This is a big change from before. Let me see what they were doing in loader previously. Stratosphere, loader, source. Is it going to be in loader process creation? It should be. Downgrade. Nope. Okay. I might have called it something else. Disallowed version 810. So it looks like before they were doing settings, bus, audio, the graphics driver, Nintendo shell, SSL, e-ticket services, crash report, and relocatable objects. And this looks like this looks like it's every system module. And A and B, this is what web applet. This is shop web applet. This is like offline applet. This is share applet, maybe. It's whatever the one where you like have a white list of titles that's used for like posting to Facebook if you're somebody who uses Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. And this is Wi-Fi web auth applet. So it looks like it's all of the web applets. It looks like it's all the system modules. That's a big change. Okay. So they're now actually checking stuff. And this is no longer just 1 and 0. 24000. God, what's the title list? That's probably just 9.0.0. Yeah. What's that in hex? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to assume that this is just 9.0.0. So none of these titles can be launched if they are executable versions less than 9.0.0. This is going to be like kernel capability parsing, which is almost certainly not different. Okay, I'm obviously skimming over this, but I don't see anything that looks super new. So I'm going to assume that nothing changed here. They really never change anything other than create process itself. This is creating, like, I call it a create process info when I never make the structure anymore. This is going to actually get the application type from kernel capabilities. It's setting that new optimized memory flag if it's set. This is like setting the flag for what kind of address space it's doing. This is checking whether or not address space and layout randomization should be enabled. Zima Channel says this is ASMR, right? This is ASMR if you want it to be ASMR. I don't know that I would consider this ASMR, but you are welcome to. Yeah, this does not look different at the moment. Yep. Oh, there's another switch. That actually is new. That there wasn't another switch there previously. Other specify switch idiom. I hate doing this. Okay. 710003722AE. Number of elements. It looks like there are 7 elements. And we're loading a half word, which is interesting. So it looks like the size of the table element is 2. Element shift amount is still 2. The start of the switch idiom. Yeah, okay. That should be the same. X11. I'm glad that you guys enjoy my voice. That's actually really weird, but I'm glad that you enjoy my voice. If I am free and people in Reswitched want me to record myself reading something, I'm happy to do that. That actually sounds like it would be really funny. So I'm theoretically on board to do that. Default is 7100004DD8. Okay. God, did I fuck that up? I probably fucked that up. Okay, what did I do wrong? Add x11, x11, edit, other, specify switch idiom. What did I forget? 00372E, 7 elements. Size of the tail element is 2, element shift is 1. Oh, do I need to like specify that it is? No, that should be fine. Element shift amount. That should still be 2. Oh. Right. Element base value. I forgot to do that. 1000042F4. That should fix it. So this is decompiled assembly code. Right now I am looking at some of these switches firmware and just diffing it really quickly. For people who are curious if this is what I need to do to update Atmosphere, yes, I am learning things from doing this that are necessary to update Atmosphere. Atmosphere will hopefully be updated with support for 9.0.0 within the next 2 to 3 days. In an ideal world, I can do it in like a day, but I don't want to commit to that, so let's call it 2 to 3 days to be safe. Can we see a selfie? No. People have seen pictures of me. Hedgeberg has definitely seen a picture of me, but I'm definitely not going to post a picture of me on the internet. That sounds like a terrible idea. I don't have a Facebook. I'm not going to post pictures of myself. But I am happy to let you all hear my voice, though. Yep, this all looks the same. I'm sure that this... Yep. Yep, nothing ever changes here. Okay, I am satisfied with this. I never want to do this, especially in detail. Yeah, global destructors, okay. Loader never ever changes, and it does not look like anything in particular has changed here that I might care about. Oh, Cafetix has definitely seen me because he and I have gotten dinner in real life, but that's not typical. I think Cafetix is the only person in the scene who's seen me. Actually, no, I was at the Pokemon World Championships a couple of years ago and hung out with some hacker people there. So there are definitely pictures of me on record from that, probably. Yes, gamer dates. That's absolutely what that is. Okay. I'm not going to post my feet. Thank you, though. It's very flattering, but we're not going to do that. Okay. So the other stuff that I need to diff for Atmosphere in the firmware and the system module level is boot will almost certainly have updates for hardware nets. These two never change, but boot will have changes. But boot takes me several hours to do, and I don't want to do that on stream because it's not especially interesting. So this will be reversed off stream, and I'll just do whatever's required for Atmosphere. So before I move on to Trust Zone, I want to do kernel loader. So I'm going to give a brief explanation of what kernel loader is, and then we'll dive right in. And I'm going to have to manually update a loader script for it, which is going to be a little gross, but will bear with me. Okay, so prior to 8.0.0, the kernel had this complicated initialization section that did ASLR and a bunch of other memory setup. Also, yes, I did meet Omega Donut at Worlds, however many years ago that was. I got lunch with him there. It was fun. But anyway, the kernel got a update for modularity purposes, I assume, in 8.0.0 that added this new, completely separate binary called kernel loader. And I documented it all a week ago. It's all on the wiki. I documented it in a lot of detail. I'm actually not going to use my old IDB for 8.0 because these documents are better than my old IDB, and I have all of my structures here, so there's just no need to use the old IDB. So we'll be using this for diffing purposes. But it basically is just a second binary that relocates the kernel, it decides the initial randomization, and it sets up some initial page tables and some initial system registers. I think it's a really good design. I really like kernel loader, but it is another thing that we have to reverse. And I want to re-implement kernel loader really soon, because you can do it separately from the kernel. So I'm going to go over it quickly. Yeah, if you are here to ask when is Atmosphere going to be updated, the answer to that is in the next couple of days. I might be lucky enough to have stuff working tomorrow, but I would rather say 2 to 3 days. Also, the answer is June 15th. Yes, it will update on June 15th, but June 15th will probably be in 2 to 3 days. God, the June 15th hook is so incredibly funny, and it will never stop being funny. Hedgeberg, you can do what you want with moderating at your discretion. If it becomes a problem, then time people out. I absolutely trust you to moderate appropriately. Okay, so where does kernel loader start? This gets loaded to 80060000. Kernel loader will be at 800 something. 2B50. I think this is the offset to kernel loader 64 plus 2B 5000. 315. Okay, it was 314 previously, so I'm gonna assume that's correct. 2B5. Okay, I really don't know why it keeps doing that, but that's fine. Cool, so this will be the actual kernel loader binary, and this looks right. That's actually a lot of nops. That does not look right. Okay, well, we'll roll with it. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure that it's fine. Cluedo asks, where is the Patreon? I am sorry to tell you this, Cluedo. I don't want your donations. Generally, I do not want your donations. If you are interested in donating to me, your money is better spent on the Electronic Frontier Foundation or some other charitable cause. Don't donate to me. I don't need your money. But thank you, though. I appreciate the thought, even if that was a shitpost. It's an opportunity to say do that. Okay. So I have a trust on our database to work with when we're doing that, but let's get started on kernel loader. Okay. So we're gonna have to do this the hard way first because the script that I use is hard-coded for a bunch of things. C, program files, IDA, loader, X, kernel loader. Yeah, so this Tux wrote this, but it is using entirely hard-coded offsets, and so we're going to have to update those. So we're gonna do this twice. We're gonna load this, and then I'm gonna figure out where everything is, and then we're gonna load it again, and it'll work properly that way. Cool. This is ARM, Little Endian. It's an ARM v8 processor. Oh, right. I just did exactly what I said I was not going to do. I want to load it as a binary file, not as kernel loader, because I need to update the script to have the right offsets. V8. Okay. And I want to load it at 80. What's that address? 80315. Okay. 15. Yes, this is definitely 64-bit code. So let's see how this is going. Yep, that's fine. Anti-current up, that's so gross. This will get fixed eventually, but okay, it is 2 EBO, 3 EBO. Okay, so those will be the bounds for BSS, because BSS is the bit of memory that's read and write data that gets zeroed. 2 EBO, 0x, 3 EBO. Yeah, so my profile picture is Wishy-Washy, which is my favorite Pokemon, holding Aegislash, which is a Pokemon that is literally a sword and a shield. And it's a really stupid joke about Pokemon Sword and Shield. I asked Ognik to find me someone who could make me art for Pokemon Sword and Shield featuring Wishy-Washy when the games got announced. And Ognik's wife drew me this, and Ognik's wife is an incredible artist, so we're all good. No, I have not given up feed pictures, and also don't ask me for feed pictures, and also, Blauard, you're probably gonna get banned, but on the off chance that we don't immediately ban you, don't ask me for feed pictures. Anyway. So where does text end? Let's just scroll down until we see code stop. That sounds right. Okay. That's 2BEC. I can handle memes. I love memes. I am a huge fan of memes, but I'm also not going to post pictures of my feet. I'm sorry to anyone who's disappointed by that. Text size is going to be 2EC, and this will be there. And RO data, this is going to be a little harder, I think, mostly because I'm terrible at telling where RO data ends, but I do have a really good strategy, which is called find the global offset table by searching in binary. So the global offset table is almost certainly going to start with a relocation of this form. Okay. Is it only 4 zeros? Possibly. Oh, I also might have actually gone past it. Okay. I'm going to assume... Is that the global offset table? Let me think. No, that's probably not right. Yeah. Oh, actually, this might be a global offset table registry. Oh, also, I'm saying global offset table, but I really mean dot dynamic. Dot dynamic is actually what I'm looking for. And finding dot dynamic is always a little bit of a pain, but never actually that bad. Let's see. 80315. Okay. What should I do to find these? I'm looking for offsets in... I'm looking for the start of .data, and I'm looking for the start of dynamic. Dot dynamic... I know how to do this. Why are people saying rip Shrept? If you're wondering about needing to sign the new Shrek sept, you should know that the tsec firmware didn't update, and so the keys are the same for sept. I will need to make changes for sept for the new keys, actually, but I mean, I will just sign the Shrek version for those people as soon as that's done. I have absolutely no qualms about immediately signing the Shrek stuff, because that stuff is, and I've said this a couple times, super funny. Okay. Anyway, let's actually do the thing where we find dot dynamic. Let me go back to text and start searching here. No, that's not going to be right. We're looking for like a bunch of 4 and then 7 zeros, and then that's like only 6 zeros, so let's do this right. Okay, yep, that's what I was looking for. Offset, yep, these are relocations. This is going to be dot dynamic. Okay. Dot dynamic to D30. Um, 1900, I guess that was the start of BSS, maybe? I barely remember. 2EBO. So then I need to know where the got ends. But the global offset table should just end wherever dynamic is ending. So let's see. Let's scroll down. There should be, yep, okay. So this is going to be the global offset table, I believe. I know enough about kernel loader to say pretty comfortably that this is a virtual table. Let me verify that, 2E-AO. Yep, this is a virtual table. So this is actually a global object, so we're looking at 2E80 as the end of our global offset table. Someone asks, what is shrept? Good question. It's a dumb meme. So when I first streamed, my first stream was like 4 hours of me chatting, and one of the things that people asked me was, would I be willing to sign a version of sept, which is the atmosphere components that does key derivation and shows a logo? Would I be willing to sign a version that shows like a Shrek meme instead of the actual atmosphere logo? And I find Shrek memes to be both high quality and very funny. So I said yes, and then I signed it, and now people, instead of seeing the atmosphere logo, can see like an atmosphere logo with Shrek ogre ears. It's funny. I think it's really funny. I will continue to support it for as long as it's needed. Anyway, so we've updated the script, and maybe I did this right. Will this work? No. Okay. That's not super surprising. What did I fuck up? Probably lots of things. Text offset is 0. 2BEC. Oh. That's such a dumb error. That is such an incredibly dumb error. Okay. So, ignoring the fact that I'm dyslexic, will this work? Yes. Awesome. Great. This looks like it actually did what I want. Although it loaded at the wrong address, so 80314. 814. Yeah. Okay. That's hard-coded too. Okay, one more time. This time to actually do it right. Great. Okay, this looks the way that I want it to. Okay. So, let's get started diffing stuff. This is already new. This was not here in older kernel loader. So, let's start edit plugins friend. I go to documents, I should have friends, configurations. Let's save all of this. Okay, that is new. That was not there before. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So this function is kernel loader main. And it takes in some arguments, and let me copy in the structures for those really quickly. I have them at the bottom of this wiki page. I really recommend dumping your notes on the wiki because it means that you never have to worry about being able to access them because they are public. Struct kernel map. Keyword text offset. Keyword text and offset. Keyword data. Is that? No. I just misdocumented on the wiki, I guess. Data and offset. Keyword write data offset. Keyword write data. What keyword do you use? I have a Logitech G7 something. But I don't know more than that. No, I have a like mechanical keyboard. I think it's a brown mechanical keyboard. But I got this years ago and don't remember so well. So I apologize if I have it wrong. Normat says, why don't you just export your types from your old IDB, then import to this one? Because that would be easy. And also force of habit. Struct k initial page allocator. Okay. Struct k virtual table. Which one is going to be void star allocate. Also, Normat, I think that going through the process is valuable to do on stream. Like, I do export types, but I think that this is valuable to be doing. So the first member is the virtual table, which I just typed because I can't think and type at the same time. And then keyword next address. I think that's all right. Yes. And then struct k initial page table. Yeah, let's call it a void star actually. L1 table and keyword L1 entries. Okay. Awesome. So that should be all of the types that we need unless there are new types, which actually, now that I think about it, it is likely that there are new types, but hopefully not. Okay. So this kernel loader main takes in a keyword for the kernel space address, a keyword for the any1 address, and a kernel map. Kernel base address, kernel map, keyword any1 base address. Awesome. What is the red, yellow, green bar? Okay, so this, I'm actually really upset about this. This like tells you what the segment layout for this binary is like. And I'd like to be clear, this is very irritating. People complained about the colors that my IDA uses last stream, and they, because they are assholes, asked me to use different colors, and one of them got me this awful color scheme up top. It's normally like blues and like prettier, but I don't know how to change this back, and so I'm just stuck with super shitty. Yeah, you're being subtweeted. I'm just saying, Hedgeberg, I am subtweeting you. Anyway, yeah, these colors are so bad. They're normally prettier. Anyway, so kernel loader main, it looks like I say that it does BSS clearing, which is what this is. Then it's just the stack pointer. Is it still doing that? Let's see. Subtract stack pointer. Yep. Stack pointer is the main address plus the end of BSS. So it's still doing that. Okay. And then this is going to be kernel loader's relocation application. And this is going to be kernel loader's libc application. So let's see. Kernel loader apply applications. And it's... Actually, let's make that applications. But this is a type declaration, doesn't matter. It takes in keyword base address. And I think it's a D-word pointer to dynamic. Probably. I am pretty sure that this has no changes. Also, it doesn't return anything, so I don't need to do that. Actually, it might return something. Yeah, okay, this is some switch statement. There's almost certainly nothing different here, but I'm going to do it for completion's sake. Edit. Other specify switch idiom. Input register is x2. Address the jump table is what is x17 here? Yeah, okay, it's this address. Great. Edit other specify switch idiom. Number of elements, it looks like there are OX14. This is almost certainly no changes whatsoever, by the way. I'm just doing it for completeness sake. Hedgeberg says, it's bullshit that you have more viewers now than I ever had after streaming for years. You should have streamed diffing a system update that people are excited about. That probably would have gotten you more viewers. But, you know, it's okay. Learn from your mistakes. Love you, Hedgeberg. You're fine. Slice the table elements, 1, element shift them is still 2. More like you should have had my total race. That's true, actually. 80317538. X2 is the register. Default jump address is 8031756C. Cool. Yeah, so this was a real pain in the ass to sort out. But this is like our ARC64 relative. It only allows ARC64 relative relocations, but it finds a bunch of stuff that'll be down here. It'll like set stuff to figure out what it's parsing, And then it goes through all of dynamic in the second loop where it verifies these things. It was a lot of work to translate this garbage into this, but yeah, there's nothing new here, so we're done. Okay, and then libc init array. Yep, there are no functions, but that's fine. Better libc init array. So, this is new. This is not in older kernel loader. It jumps right to this function in older kernel loader. So it's setting tpdr to 0 and it's setting vbar. This is like, where do I go when I want to take exceptions? So let's see what this is. Okay, that explains all of the nops, actually. Damn, this is going to be a pain, isn't it? Oh, and there's a whole bunch of nops. That's so much wasted space. That's ugly. I don't like that. Basically, vbar needs to be aligned to OX800, so they must just have an assembly file right here where they like define an exception table, and it's getting automatically padded out to 800. That's Nintendo. You already... Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, this is sync sp0 exception. Yeah. I'm not going to add no return, but it'll probably add it for me. This is synchronous. No, wait, this is IRQ sp0 exception. You'll get to see me label all of these names again when I do trust zone in like an hour or two. FAQ sp0 exception. But it doesn't look like they're doing anything of note yet. SR sp0 exception. Okay, it looks like this is a function. This is okay. So synchronous exception from the same exception level. So if an exception happens synchronously at the same exception level, it will jump to this function, sync spx exception nipple. Normat, what's wrong with the nops? I prefer 0 bytes. And also, their secure monitor uses 0 bytes. And so I'm vaguely offended that they're using a different linker for kernel loader than they are for the secure monitor. That's why I'm so confused. By the way, I would love to have a script that automatically labels an ARC64 exception table for me. If anyone has heard of any such script, I would love it. I hate labeling all of these because they're always the same. Sync A64 exception. They're literally setting this to vbar. They're using a standard ARC64 vector table where it's 0x80 vectors. It's just how stuff works on ARC64. The address of this is just put in vbar. This is IRQ64. It looks like the only one interesting so far is a synchronous exception from the same exception level. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that that's literally the only function in here. Normat is volunteering to write a script. That is awesome. Please. So Normat, I named them sync, IRQ, FIQ, and then S-error as the first part of the prefix, and SP0, SPX, A64, A32 as the next part of the exception table. And then I just have underscore exception. It would be ridiculously valuable to me to have a script that doesn't require me to type all of these names so many times. I think I complained about this when I streamed diffing trust zone. No, wait, this is SR A32. Cool. So that will be everything. Also, yeah, the reason that I'm streaming this is just because I would get really bored if I was doing this normally. This is a way for me to make this more interesting to myself. Okay, so it looks like when an exception occurs synchronously from the same exception level, they get TPIDR, which was 0 as of the start of kernel loader. If it's not 0, they infinite loop, so it has to be non-zero. They load a bunch of saved registers, including the stack pointer, and then they return. Okay, so this looks like a way for them to just handle if an exception occurs. Great. Okay. Yep, that disassembles as terribly as I would have expected it to disassemble. But okay, so difference here, it clears TPIDR, and then it sets up this exception table with the only purpose being if a synchronous exception happens at the same exception level, restore a bunch of registers, and return. So this is some control flow mechanism, but we probably don't need to actually care about it. So I call this kernel loader load kernel, which is a little on the nose, but what can you do? And it looks like the type is the same as this. And it actually does return a keyword, right? Because it returns the base address of the relocated kernel. This should just finalize the initial page allocator. Yep. Okay. So this, let me undefine this, This is a initial page allocator. Great. Cool. And so this will be k initial page allocator allocate, and this will be, it's still not. This is k initial page allocator free. Does this still do what I think it does? Initial page allocator. Yep. It makes sure that it can get a next address. It mem sets it to 0. This is the mem set. I should actually check that instead of assuming. It's mem set. And then it returns the page that it just allocated. Okay, cool. That's all straightforward. Nothing new there. And this, yeah, does loader finalize initial page allocator. Pretty sure this is just an inline member function of the initial page allocator class, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what is new here? Kernel base address. It looks like they are still doing this gross thing. That's the first thing that I remember them doing. Yeah, is they do original kernel base is a backup copy of the base address. And then I'm going to assign these because I don't really care about the original versions. Kernel base address. Yep. Okay. Does this take in an argument to this now? I didn't think it did. Yeah, no, it only has 2 arguments. Okay. So this is kernel loader relocate kernel physically. So this is going to do a couple of things. Also, it looks like chat is talking about 4chan and /or hentai and /or feet pics. So, okay. Fun. Anyway, what did I give as a signature here? It's probably, yeah, okay. Is it kernel base and then kernel map, or the other way? Kernel base, kernel map, okay. Kernel map, ***, and keyword, yeah, that's actually right. This is p kernel base, and this is p kernel map. Also, yeah, I would prefer to avoid the politics of public forums and moderating them on the stream. I'm just interested in seeing what's different in 9.0.0. If you want to talk about those kinds of politics, come to Reswitched off topic. If you can't chat there, chat in the channels you can, and you'll eventually be able to. But this is probably not the time or the place for that kind of discussion. Also, it would just distract me from actually diffing this update. So, this should be get adjusted kernel base. editor, nested kernel physical base. And is it? Yep, okay. So, you are about to see something really dumb. Like, really, really dumb. I have not figured out a good way to handle handling these secure monitor calls. So I did this the super stupid way. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make this decompile as a call. Other decompile as call. It's going to be keyword user call at x1. So see. So what secure monitor call is this? It's okay. This is read write register. Read write register. It's keyword address at x1 keyword register. Oh no, wait, it's actually just d-word value at w2 d-word mask at w3. I think that's right. Okay. Yep, that doesn't surprise me. What am I missing in user calls? If someone wants to call me on this, that would be great. If not, that's fine. I'm sure, no, user call. Am I putting the at x1 for the output at the wrong place? Probably. Keyword underscore user call. Oh, right. Yeah, okay, I know. Okay. No? Okay. Edit other decompile as call. I can look this up, but that would probably be slower than trying to remember how to do it myself. I'm going to say that, and then it's going to end up being significantly slower, I'm sure. Really, that actually seems right to me. What would be wrong about that? Really? So it's clearly not that. Other decompile as call. Keyword, user call, read register at x1, address at x1. Does that need a space? D-word, does that need a space? That shouldn't matter though. Do I have the same variable name twice, maybe? Address value mask. Oh, that's dumb. Okay. Thank you. And then that will make it kind of decompile right, but there'll be this pesky thing. And so prepare to see the super, super stupid thing, which is edit patch program change bytes. So this actually returns a result code in x0, but I don't know how to get IDA to say that it actually has two results, one in x1 and one in x0. So in lieu of that, we are just going to 1f2003d5, which is a nop. And that will make it decompile a little better. But it does two of these, so we're going to do this second one too. And edit other decompile as call. And the second one is going to be smc git config. Yeah, that's really gross. Please don't do things like that. Keyword which at x1. Please don't do things like that, but I don't know how to tell IDA that it has two outputs, so that's my workaround, and it's fine. Edit other... Oh wait, patch programs, patch bytes. It's 1f2003d5. Okay. I am sure that someone from Nintendo is watching this, but that's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to keep anything a secret. I'm streaming publicly. So there's no need for me to keep anything secret. Get adjusted kernel base. Yep, this is exactly the same function as I documented, so no changes. It gets the actual memory size, it gets how much trust zone says there should be, and then it adjusts the kernel base depending on whether or not they're different. This should be a nop in the normal case. Cool. And then this should be memmove, as I recall. Yeah, this looks like memmove. Cool. Yep. Okay. Did I call that memmove before? I'm pretty sure I did. Yep. Then it adjusts the kernel base address by the difference of where it wants to move it to and where it is. It adjusts the kernel map by the same. And so now everything should be pointing to what we want it to be. So just did base address. What did I say this did before? I would like to have this be as close as it was as possible to what it really was before. Yeah, so this is a relocated kernel base, I guess. This is text offset. And offset. I appreciate everyone bearing with me while I type in things that seem super redundant. It's not an end offset, that's just the offset. I should watch what I'm typing. This is PSS end offset. This is offset. This is anyone end offset. This is dynamic end offset. This is init array end offset. And this is init array offset. Yep, this looks like there are no changes here. And this is going to do like an SMC git config to see whether or not we should return. I know what this function is. This is kernel letter should reserve additional kernel data. This is like how much space in total the kernel should allocate for its heap. And we're going to do the decompiles call thing again. Edit other decompiles call. It's another git config. It's getting the same kernel configuration flags. And we're going to patch this again. It is 1F20 3D5. It took me more work than I thought it would, to learn the arm nop instruction. Matt Kimura asks, how many years of programming have you had? I started programming in 2014 in order to hack Pokemon X and Y. So I've been programming for 5 years now, 5.5 years. But I only learned this stuff in 2017 or 2016 actually, summer of 2016, I think. It's been a while. This is kernel data size. Yeah. This is anyone end offset. This is oh yeah, I remember this. This is actually anyone. Oh, I just used address here because it's an actual address. End address. One load address. Yeah. So if this is the actual any base address, let me equals that. If the address that it's currently at is not the address that we want it to be at, then we check whether or not it has this any1 magic, and we check if the total size that it uses is less than the maximum size. And if it is, we move it to the right place. Otherwise, you set it to 0. And this will cause a kernel panic later. But we don't need to care about that right now. That doesn't really matter. Okay. And then the initial page allocator ends up with page table region at anyone end address. And the page table region size is 200,000 still. Okay. And let's force call type. Cool. So this is going to be, here we are. Okay, initial page table. Oh, I have to make that a D word. Okay, I'll make that a D word. Cool. Yes, that's exactly what I would have expected, is this one page table. This table, which will end up in TTBR1, assuming they haven't changed anything, has its L1 table set to an allocated page and its number of entries to OX200. And that should all be as expected. Ninja asks, am I using any IDA plugins? I'm using Friend, which gives ARM system register names, but nothing else. So this will be kernel loader, map, initial, identity mapping. Okay. Do I give actual details on this? Yes, I do give a signature. Thank you, me, for being so kind. Okay, initial page allocator. Oh, I used UN pointer too, though. That's kind of annoying. It should be keyword. It was really thoughtful of me to document this on the wiki for myself. Thank you, past me. Will this work? Yes, it will. Awesome. That is like exactly the result that I was hoping for. Okay, so TTPR1 page table, allocator, page table size. What ends up in okay, so this is another initial page table, and this is the TTBRZU table. Page table. Yep. It's the allocator. This is page table size, page table space, kernel size, kernel base. So this, as I recall, was just completely standard page table mapping code. So this is going to be k initial page table map, and it's takes in k initial page table, keyword for the address, keyword size, a keyword for the physical address, keyword pointer for the attribute, and a k initial page allocator for the allocator. And so I just want to make a note here. It is so exceedingly unlikely that Nintendo actually wrote code that takes in a pointer to an attribute. That doesn't make any sense. So here's my guess. I'm guessing that this function takes in a constant reference to an attribute. And a constant reference would be converted by sealing into a pointer. And so I think that is probably what this actually is a constant reference, and that this is written in C++. So let's see. Also, it doesn't return anything. Did I do this right? I did this right. Awesome. Hedge asks, how many times have I differenced trust zone? More than 20. I have differenced trust zone so many times. Yeah. So this maps the kernel as an identity mapping. This maps kernel loader as an identity mapping. This is just read and write, I think. And then it maps, actually, this is read and execute? Yeah, it's read, write, and execute. This is read, write, and execute, okay. And this is read and write for the page tables. Then it puts these in the page tables. It sets up system registers, 44FFO, okay. Yep, that's the same as before. Okay, it checks that capture ID. What is this doing? Okay, this is setting TPID, and it's saving all of these registers. So this probably, okay, this is probably the pair to the function that we saw when we were looking at the exception table. So this is going to actually save stuff into TPIDR. This looks like it's exactly the same set of registers. So this is letter save TPIDR registers. Great. Okay. That's all that I really cared about. It looks like this is checking the return success. This is going to be the architecture. That's wrong. This is going to be the hardware variant. This is going to be the hardware revision. And, okay, this is new. So this is checking exactly what I'm describing here, where it's supporting the Cortex A7, which is DO7. This is DO3 and it's doing other stuff. Oh, yeah, how do I get time? I typically sleep between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., roughly. I'd sleep, like, 3... So I can do 3 hours of sleep, but it makes me feel a little bad. I prefer 4 hours of sleep. But I don't sleep very much. And I can do 4 hours of sleep a night pretty consistently, and that is my daily routine, is 4 hours of sleep in a night. But anyway, this is really interesting. Okay, DO3, ARM DO3 MPD okay. DO3. Also, Googling things is, in fact, a really good strategy. I really highly recommend it. Is the ARM Info Center really going to be so terrible? Cortex A53 DO3. Okay. Yeah, it looks like they now support running on a Cortex A53. That's really, really interesting because the Switch is a Cortex A57. I think the Tegra has A53s, but the kernel should definitely never be running on an A53. So it looks like they are adding support for more hardware boards. Maybe in the future we will see Horizon running on a Cortex A53 instead of on an A57. Yeah, Hedgeberg. Meanwhile, you guys are shitposting about how much sleep I get, and I'm talking about Nintendo adding support for a new processor. So that's interesting. I'm not going to read too much into this, but that's really interesting. Maybe they're just gonna, like, I know some Tegra boards have A53 processors, and maybe this is just for that. But that's new, and that's interesting. Yeah, maybe they actually use the A53s now? That's super interesting. Okay, Cortex A53 support. That's exciting. Okay. And this should just be ensure cache flushed. Ensure cache flushed. Yeah, A53 is older. So this might be like big little architecture or something. And this should... I am pretty sure this function is handwritten in ASM because there's no way it's not handwritten. Oh, really? Okay, never mind. Kernel loader. Oh, right. Kernel loader ensure cache flush is probably inlined. By TPIDR EL1. Oh, I think I see. Okay, I think that they are setting the system register, and this might cause an exception. And if it causes an exception, then TPIDR EL1 would be wrong when they get to this point. And so this basically verifies that no exception has happened during this code, which must only be a problem on Cortex A53. Okay, that makes sense. I think what this is doing is the reason that we saw the TPIDR code earlier in the exception table is this might cause a synchronous exception at the same exception level, in which case it would do a return, continue, it would see that TPIDR is wrong here, and it would do an infinite loop. So that prevents an exception here from screwing anything up. People say, I deserve more rest. I get as much rest as I need. When I am like doing a week of 3-hour nights, that is a time when I do really need more rest. But 4-hour nights, those are sustainable. That's all I need. I can do that basically indefinitely. Yeah, this is like inline cache flushing code. Okay, it's the same as always. It doesn't look like anything has changed with what they're setting the system controller to. Cool. Okay. What is this doing? This is getting a random value in range. Okay. Yep. Letter generate random range. Yep. Okay. Patch program change bytes, and it's 1F, 20, or 3D5 for a NOP. And I want to make this decompile as a call. This is going to be generate random bytes. bytes. This is going to be number of bytes, the next one. It should do a little more than that. This, like, does some division and stuff. Did I do that wrong? Oh, right. Duh. In x0. Also, this returns a keyword, because that's what it does. Actually, this is an x1. Got it. Yeah. So this is the same thing that I documented before. Do I stay hydrated? I have a water bottle here, actually, that I should probably drink some of. I'm sorry if the sound of me drinking water is uncomfortable. But yes, I am a human person, and I drink water. That's the first bit of water I've had since I started the stream, and I probably should have been drinking earlier. Thank you for the reminder. If I forget about eating and I forget about drinking a lot. I don't get hungry very much. It's kind of an issue I have, and so I need like reminders to eat and drink. But I am a human person, and so we're all good. Am I working in a brightly lit room? No. I have a lamp in this room. I am definitely mortal. I am a human person. Don't really have anything else to say. Kernel base random. So it looks like there's nothing different here. This looks like it's the same stuff for generating a random Kessler slide. Also, question: Kessler or Kessler to pronounce K-A-S-L-R as an asshole? I think I like Kessler, but that might be contentious. This is just validating that the like random address is in range. Yeah. What did I actually call this? Yeah, aligned random Kessler slide. This is good shitposting. Thank you, chat. So this is an inline call. I reversed this the hard way a previous time, but I'm not going to do that now because it's a pain. This is like an inline is the address and range free. So this is basically just checking that the kernel slide isn't already mapped, and so it can map it without overwriting stuff and fucking things up. And if it can't, it like goes back to where it's selecting a random. The pseudocode that I came up with is here for this. I think this is probably what my reimplementation will look like. But cool. So, aligned random Kessler slide. B17 is kernel base align offset. And this, I think this is a physical address. This is just another copy of the aligned random Kessler slide. That's really dumb. Yeah, so this is going to be the kernel base offset. Yeah, this is kernel virtual kernel base. This is adding the text offset. And then it's going to map that as Rx, which is what I would expect. And then it's going to get RO data, and it's going to map that as... Okay, so that's different. So before it was mapping it as 788. Now it's mapping it as 708. So this is actually a read-write. So it's mapping read-only data as read-write. So that's interesting. I'm sure there's something for it later, but okay. It's mapping both read-only data and read-write data as read-write. And then it's clearing BSS. It is applying relocations. What is this doing? Oh, okay. This is calling something on the page table. Okay, initial page table, something. V32. What is V32? That's our data size. Okay. thing, casual, niche, table, business, keyword, address, keyword, word, size. Hey, how did I fuck that up? I did not do a return type. Great, that's probably what you did. Probably. So people are talking about a gateway. Gateway did actually reach out to us being like Tux and I and other people because they knew us from Luma and they wanted to like hire us to write them for piracy custom firmware. And then we ghosted them because they said that they wanted to do piracy and we were not going to do that. They sent us emails, we ghosted them, that's about it. Established good relations early on. Okay. This, it's, okay. It's traversing the table, it's checking if address is, okay, what is this doing? This looks like a reprotect operation to me. Also, Gateway does steal our code. It's actually very irritating. But you know, they don't really want. I just wish they would not violate GPL. They should post the source code for whatever modifications they're using. Like the last time that I updated for a new release, I made the mistake of posting all my changes to GitHub immediately. And they released it exactly the same time as me because I made everything usable before I was ready. That was a mistake. We won't do that this time. I'm sorry that it's shitty, but it's how it is. Anyway, discussion episode. Okay, so what is this data protection? The only thing it is storing, setting the read-only bit. So that, okay, if this is all the data, something's not too much to do. I'm going to call this reprotect. Someone can easily verify in more detail, but I think this is taking our data, which we map as read-writable up here, and then reprotecting it as read-only. There's actually probably like in line. This is probably the general reprotect function. Definitely write a specific one, and then optimizing it is only ever called with reprotect read-only. Anyway. Okay, so this actually makes sense. Okay, this is good. This is something they should have been doing forever ago. Okay, so here's what they're doing here. They are mapping our data initially as read-write, and then they are applying relocation to it, which means that they can modify our data and relocate things inside at this point, and then they're making read-only. This is like a feature that modern computers support called rel.ro. So this, okay, this that makes sense. That's really good. The kernel probably has virtual tables inside our data now, which it couldn't do before because it would have needed to relocate them. So I guess that now if you want to hack the kernel, if you had a kernel bug, you can no longer just modify virtual tables. They're static virtual tables anyway. So that's a good mitigation. I mean, there are kernel bugs anyway, but if there were kernel bugs, this is a really valuable mitigation. So good on them. Now it looks like this is calling the iterator for kernel. These are the same names. I think the actual names. That should be fine. Okay, that actually looks like it is all of kernel code. Yeah, Edward, it looks like they implemented Railroad, which is awesome. Okay, and that is all of kernel code, which is awesome. Cool. So, the next thing to do is trust zone. And trust zone usually takes 3 to 4 hours, so I guess I'm going to be finishing this at like 12:30 or 1:30 my time, which I can go that long. I can do that. That totally works on my end. We might have fewer moderators, and I guess I'll have been streaming for like 5 or 6 hours at that point. But I'm having fun. Diffing kernel loader with a chat was much more fun than doing it by my own, like a week or 2 ago. So, yeah. I'm going to take a short couple minutes. Henrik says, wait, you're actually doing the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't start the stream to not do the whole thing. I'm not. You're going to hit a wall around 4.5 hours. We'll see. I may well hit a wall around 4.5 hours, but I think it'll be fine. I'm going to take a couple minutes and, like, drink this water, though, because I should have been doing that this whole time. I'm also going to mute my mic, but I'll be in chat, so I'll be back in a minute or two. Okay, sorry, my mic was probably really loud there for a second. It has, like, dynamic stuff that Windows does. Sorry that you didn't get to hear me drink water. I know that must be an enormous loss on your end. I'm so sorry. Sorry. The requests to hear me drink water are really funny. Sorry, give me a second. Fuck, okay. Anyway, I just chugged like an entire bottle of water, so I should probably be fine for the next couple of hours. I'm gonna grab another bottle of water, actually, but not turn off my mic because I have another bottle of water right there. So 1 second, but I'm gonna leave my mic on this time. Okay, I'm back. So, before I do anything else, actually, I should upload the database file for kernel loader. And what's this? Is this? That's my memcopy. I'm sure this is memcopy. Yep, it's called my memmove. It's memcopy. I'm gonna take this database and make it public because I should do that. Dump database to IDC file. Kernel loader.idc. I'm going to upload it on my host, so you won't actually see me uploading it, but I'll post a link in chat for people who would like to have this for themselves in a second. Let me copy this over to my host system. Loader.idc. And I also want the script from program files. Yeah, I mean, I want anything that I do reverse engineering-wise on these streams to be public, and so I should upload these so that people can use them and have the research notes for themselves. Okay, logging into just. Let's see. Let's do this. Copy that. Create a public gist. Okay. There we go. I just posted a link in chat. Anyone who wants the reverse engineering notes that I just did for kernel loader for themselves, there you go. That should be everything that you could want. It's the script that I used to load it in, and it is the script, and it's the actual database script. Okay. Great. So now we are going to do trust zone. And I decrypted package 1 already, so we don't need to worry about that. But I'm doing everything manually because I want people to see what my process is actually like. Let me make a new folder. Let's call this 9.0.0. And documents, updates. Here we are. Typing didn't work. I'll just scroll. Yeah, no, I have a memes folder. You know that I have a memes folder. I am a huge fan of memes. Some people will tell you that memes are lowbrow and that memes aren't fun. I love memes. I am memes' biggest supporter. I have a bit of an odd definition of meme, in that my memes are mostly like hacking-related bullshit, but I love memes. I will always love memes. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that I want to do is I just want to load this into IDA manually. It's ARM, little endian, processor options are ARM v8a. Okay. And I'm loading in package 1 loader, so it's going to be X4001. Thank you to people who are still saying happy birthday, by the way. I've got 2.5 hours left, so let's see how much of Trust Zone I can get done in that time. Some people might say this is a super stupid way to spend your birthday, and I would say thank you very much, Nintendo. This is an ideal birthday evening for me. Yeah, it is actually my birthday, and being able to diff new firmware with like Trust Zone changes is great. That is an ideal use of this evening. I was with family this past weekend, and so I'm totally free. Yes. And Trust Zone is always at 403,000 these days. Yep. Cool. I have had a good day. I mean, I got a system update, and I'm having a lot of fun doing this, so it's a good day. It's a very good day. So I have my old database for 8.1.0 here that I'll be referencing as I do this. See ya, hey 1TSME. Thanks for watching the stream so far. So the next thing that I want to do, like just immediately, is do I have it in here? I do. Okay. File, script commands. I'm sure that there's a better way to do this, but I want all of the contents of this ida script, and then what I want to do is I want to take the part where it applies stuff, and I want to comment out everything other than segments. There might be a better way to just get segments, but trust zone segments haven't changed in forever, and they certainly will not have changed in this update, and so this is just going to save me a bunch of work. Great. Awesome. StuckPixel asks, is there any reason why they have so many nops? And actually, yes, there is. It fixes a CPU erratum. It's documented in the Exosphere source code. Just go look at our start.s. This works around a hardware error in the CPU with like the branch prediction or something, I forget. But we documented it when we were doing Exosphere. And by we, I mean Tux, because Tux understands ARM CPUs, and I only kind of understand ARM CPUs. Okay, so this is always the same, but I know that I need to label it this way, or else it won't make it its own function. Let's see. Great. This is 0. And you're going to see me doing this a lot in the next couple of hours, where I will copy paste something from this database on the right into the database on the left. But this is how I do things, and I did an entire stream of me doing this for a pre-release trust zone, and so hopefully the fact that this is 9.0.0 and anything that I see that's different here will be things that I need to change in Exosphere, and will be what I need to change to get Atmosphere to work. Hopefully that'll make it interesting. Plugins, friend. Zaki Game says, I thought you said that you speak ARM very well. Objectively, I know ARM very well. Like, I think by conventional standards, I know ARM very well. Compared to Tux, I know nothing about ARM. I am like a little child compared to Tux's knowledge. This never changes, but I'm gonna verify it anyway. Internet. Internet. Yep. Init array doesn't do anything. It is. Yep. There's this LZ11 uncompressed function. Oh, you guys will have to see another super stupid thing that's a legacy of how I do this in here. So that'll be fun. Okay. Ooh, okay. It looks like the trust zone image is like an extra 256 bytes compressed, which means more than that uncompressed, which means that we're probably looking at actual changes. So that is exciting. Another 256 bytes of compressed data is notable. It looks like the main compressed image is at DFC 890. Okay, 6ED4. I need to remember that. Hopefully, I won't forget it. So, where am I? Good, I am in here. So, there are two parts of this binary. There is DFC, I think it is. It's always DFC. Yeah. I want to take 6ED4 bytes from here. I wish that HXD in this VM would not like do the weird thing where it doesn't let me just type in how many bytes I want, but this is fine. I can live with it. 6ED4. Okay. New. And we'll save that as I want documents secmon main.lz11. And then there's also at 890 I want 56B bytes. Oh, I already selected that many. 6B. I'm going to call this secmon init.lz11. Also, yeah, I started with no formal training by just trying to hack Pokemon games. I have sunk tons and tons of time into this, which has led to my being able to do things. But it is possible to learn how to do everything that I'm doing. And it is possible to learn how to do it in the space of like 5 years. So if you want to know these things, come to the Reswitch Discord. We have a channel for like learning how to do these things. Also play microcorruption. It's awesome. So they added this compression in like 6.0.0. And I did not realize at the time that it was just LZ11. And I reverse engineered it and I re-implemented it using like exactly what they do. This is like exactly what their code does, but this is just LZ11. But I wrote this program before I realized that, and I just use this program every time. It like has hard-coded file names and everything, but it does what I want, and so it's what we use. So there we go. There are our binaries. How did you teach yourself anyway? I learned to program by working on PK hex. I mean, you can go to my GitHub and scroll way back, and you will see this awful form application I made by like hacking shit together, where I like I basically unroll a for loop by hand, and nothing has the right variables, and there are like 40 entries, and it's just horrific. I just threw myself at trying to hack Pokemon, and Cafedix helped me learn how to do things, and he was learning how to program at the same time through PK hex. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to focus on loading this stuff in, because this requires like non-trivial amounts of effort to remember how to do additional binary file. Documents, secmon 9.0. So what we want to do is we want to load inits to 4003 2000. We don't want to create a segment, but it is a code segment. And so that'll be the rest of the init. And then we're going to do this mostly by memory, but we are going to load another additional binary file, which is the main. And we're going to have to do this again later. To 7C010800. Okay. And that's trust zone, that's TZ-RAM, so that's like an identity mapping. That'll be used for warm boot and stuff later, which we will care about. Okay. So, do this. We're going to mark this as a function. And then we are going to mark this as a function. And what do I call this? Post uncompressed main? That sounds right. Post uncompressed main. And what this is going to do is this is going to be a function that, set up environment and jump to cold boot main. Set environment, jump to cold boot main. This is going to like configure system registers and stuff, and then this is going to jump to the virtual mapping. Have I tried Ghidra? No, I have not tried Ghidra. People ask me that a lot. But I made a joke in Reswitched earlier that really upsets Hedgeberg very deeply, and so I'm going to make it again now, which is to say that Ida costs like $5,000 and Ghidra costs $0. So the obvious inference, obviously, is that Ida is $5,000 better than Ghidra. That's the obvious conclusion, I think. Anyway, yeah. Nothing ever changes here, so I can afford to be a little lackadaisical about this. These veneers I probably want to verify. Yeah, it's doing function chunks, and I hate when it does function chunks. There we go. That's better. Set up DMA controllers veneer. I wonder if there's like some IDA setting that would not create all of these function chunks. Cool, so this is how they fixed Deja Vu originally. I don't care about these, they never changed. This is like a cache flush. This is just setting, yeah. But this like blocks AHB DMA from arbitration, which is how they actually blocked Deja Vu. So this function is important. It's always the same though. It hasn't changed in a while. Anyway, that was a joke, to be clear. Ghidra is supposedly fantastic. It is supposedly much better than Ida, I just haven't used it. One of these days I will actually use it, and maybe I will switch over. But I have so little time, despite how little I sleep, and so I would rather spend the time hacking stuff than learning how to use Ghidra. And maybe that's wrong of me, but you know. anything change here? 4, 63D, 71 CFO. Okay, cool. Nope, that is exactly as expected. Great. What do you do 20 hours of the day? I have a job, which takes up most of my time during the weekdays. Although I can, no, it's not. But I don't know. My usual routine is I get up at like 7. I eat breakfast. I work on hacking stuff for a couple of hours. Then I go to the work. I'm available on my phone for hacking stuff, but not actively working on stuff during the day. Although it depends and it's contextual. And then I get back around like 5 Pacific time, and then I read for a bit or eat dinner. I usually read while eating dinner. And then I work on hacking stuff until like 3 in the morning. And then I go to sleep. Obviously that's an overgeneralization and I do things other than this, but that's typical. Right, this is post-MMU code. But I will set that because this is... You know, I'm actually pretty happy with my daily schedule. I read a lot, line perfect. I spend a lot of time reading. It is my biggest hobby. I'm a huge fan of web serial fiction. I'm assuming you know kids. I do not. I will have kids in the foreseeable future. And when I do, I assume my time for hacking will be like nothing. So you've only got me for a few more years, so let's make the best of them. Okay. Did you miss any jokes? No, I just gave an overview of my daily schedule. I don't label the stuff other than map MMU L3 region these days. Map MMU L3 region. Yeah. Great. And this never really changes. I would be very surprised if anything was different here. 18 through 44, 18 through 44. I'm like not even gonna bother verifying this. I'm sure that these are exactly the same mappings as always. Z mashallah, no. Moving on. Such a dumb question. File, load file, additional binary file. So this is both mapped at the identity mapping and a couple of virtual mappings. And this is kind of a pain, but I know how it works by now, so we don't have to stress too much about it. So this is going to be loading at 1F01E 0800, as I recall. Because we loaded to 7C01 0800. And we're going to want 0x 1800 bytes, because 2000 bytes are mapped, and we started copying data at 0800. So this is going to be the package 2 loader region. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to load additional binary file. We're going to want main, and we are going to want to do 1F01 4 1 2 3. Is it 4,000 or 40,000? I should actually check that. I think it's 40,000. View, subviews, segments. Text is 40,000. Great. And we want to take from offset 0x1800, and it's the rest. But we're gonna be kind, and we're gonna say it's b1000 anyway because it's 0x9000. Oh man, I understand why he'll ban the guy, but at the same time, fuck, that's funny. Anyway, it's 0xC800 bytes in total, and the first 1800 are package 2 loader, and the next are text and RO data and read-write data. Cool. So that should be all we need to do to load everything in. And Hedrick says, it's funny, but it's funny in exactly the way we don't want. I agree. It is not what we want. It is very funny, but not for here. If you want to, like, DM me shit posts like that, I will laugh at them, but also don't do that, please. I don't want to be, like, drowned in jokes like that, actually. It's a yikes funny. I'm amused, but don't do that. To be clear. Yes, this is gonna be like episode 32J. Okay. What do I call these here? Episode 32J. Yep. What did you miss? You didn't miss anything valuable. There will be plenty of shitposting left in the stream, I guarantee you. The only thing you missed was someone asking me a personal question and then offering to take care of a personal problem that I don't have. And that's all you really need to know. Cool. There's still no init array functions, which means that we are done with the actual init code. Great. And then jump to cold boot main. This is like return from exception, but got to do it that way or it won't decompile right. Well, I'm not sure how to take a statement like I didn't know that I was such a reasonable person. I mean, okay. I'm fine with theoretically unbanning the guy if he's not going to like shitpost in that particular way again. Because to be clear, we didn't say that was off limits in that particular way until after he'd done it. But that's at your discretion, Hedge. I trust you to moderate appropriately. I am interested in not being the head moderator. Yeah, fair warning. I am very blunt and very direct, and I will say my mind. But I try to be reasonable. If I'm ever unreasonable to you, please let me know, and I will do my best to fix it. I don't like being unreasonable. I mean, I'm just another human person, which is my preferred way of saying that. I'm sure you're wondering why I'd say human, because I could just say person, but I find the phrase human person really funny, and so I use it preferentially. So this is just the standard code for exiting. I label this first. And argument. And get exception stack address. And this is like a cache flush that I don't bother labeling. T-Slater actually asks a really good question, which is one that confused me when I was first doing this, which is why when I copy from the left to the right, why does it not copy the name? And that's because IDA has two concepts. It has a concept of a name and a concept of a type. What I'm doing is I'm hitting Y, which pulls up the type. And then I'm copying over the type. But the type and the name are different. I would have to copy the name separately, and I find it faster to type in the name than to copy it, usually. So I just hit N and type in the name. I could like hit N here and then copy it again, but I prefer to type it in. It's just a personal preference. It's no different. My package toolbar, I'm sure this is the same. I'm still 32J. Yep. This just copies over package toolbar. It clears package toolbar once it's done executing. That makes this package toolbar main. Cool. So there are two halves to diffing trust zone. The first half is labeling package 2 loader. And the second half is labeling the actual secure monitor API. I super prefer to do package 2 loader first, because it's where all of the like key derivation, interesting initialization stuff happens. So let's do that right away. I'm sure that these are all exactly the same as always. The first thing that trust zone does, and you would know this if you saw my previous stream, is it sets all of these global pointers to different bits of MMIO. And they all have mostly the same signature, so I'm just gonna